Open Your Eyes is brought to you by Smart, bringing people together, and the Belize Bank, our country, your bank.
Good morning and welcome to Open Your Eyes.
Start your morning right.
I'm April Martinez.
And I'm Isani Ketano. Good morning.
Good morning, Belize. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Good morning, Isani. It's good
morning,
to see you.
April. I know it's been a while since we've shared the same set.
Yes. But nevertheless, it's awesome hosting this Monday morning show with you.
Yes, it is the 4th of November.
It is the 4th of November.
Yes.
Like time has just gone by so quickly. But wherever you are in your homes, at your workplace, thank you so much for joining us this morning here on Open Your Eyes. We have a lot of topics to cover this morning. There were a lot of things that happened over the course of the weekend, both here in Belize and internationally. So let's just jump right into it with our What's Buzzing segment. All right, we have a few topics to cover this morning, but Isani, I believe that let's start internationally and then bring it home. Sure. One of the key meetings that took place over the course of the weekend was the COP16 meeting, or maybe it didn't take place, if you will. But before we dive into the details, perhaps I think it would be good for our viewers to distinguish the different meetings. We were talking about COP16, that let not be confused with COP29, right?
So COP16 took place in Colombia,
yes,
South America. COP29 will take place in Azerbaijan, right? With COP16, delegates from a number of countries from across the world met in Colombia, in Cartagena,
yes,
to discuss issues as they relate to biodiversity, nature, environment, even climate change,
yes,
right? And it culminated on Saturday, but it did not have the effect or the intended effect that delegates and those in attendance would have anticipated. As a matter of fact, it ended rather flatly, with none of the points being agreed to by those who were there representing governments and their respective countries. And for some, this would be a shocker.
yeah,
For others, this just proves that a lot of what takes place at these world conferences is tantamount to talk shop, right? Promises are made, agreements are signed on to, but the follow through is woefully lacking.
yeah.
And so on Saturday, the COP16 came to an end, and I don't want to preempt what we will be discussing in the news later on today, but we had a Belizean delegation in attendance,
yes,
and we had the Minister of Sustainable Development, Orlando Habet, who was in Colombia. I believe he's on his way back to the country. We also had Beverly Wade, who was in attendance on behalf of the Blue Bond.
Yes.
All right? But yes, all of these countries, they're discussing biodiversity and the need for us to be able to protect our environment, protect our rainforest and our wildlife, flora and fauna.
Yeah.
But many of the major countries, the bigger countries who contribute to what's been taking place in terms of the negative impacts of development and industrialization and what have you, weren't in attendance or did not commit to being able to change some of the practices that are adversely affecting our environment.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to add that one of the things that I feel we discuss every time, CUP season, if you will, rolls around is the fact that none of these countries are being held, the larger countries, if you will, are being held accountable.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
They make these promises. I believe it was supposed to be about 300 or 700 billion dollars a year that each developing and small nations country would get in order to have disaster relief funds that would contribute to the climate change and sustainability fund, right?
Yeah.
So far, none of that has occurred, and we know this because Belize is included in that category, right? And because all of this is supposed to be voluntary on behalf of these larger nations, they don't have to.
Yeah.
And because they don't have to, they don't see the necessity. They're not gaining revenue, they're not gaining profit off of it. It kind of would decline their economy if they would pump all of that money into other developing nations. And so there seems to be this lack of, well, it's not really affecting us as these bigger countries, so we're not entitled to do anything about it.
No, well, the thing about it is that if you look at what's been happening across the world, there's a heightened focus on the environment, on climate, on, habitat, and all of these things, right? From an environmental and from a conservation point of view. And so with this heightened focus, a lot of our news stories tend to lean on, climate change, things that are happening out at sea, things that are happening terrestrially, and so on. But the willpower seems to be lacking, right? So while we've identified the issues, we haven't necessarily said, okay, let's really commit and put the money where our mouth is.
Yeah.
That is in respect to the larger countries that should be playing their part.
I mean, we've been discussing, we've been seeing in the international news about all of these different, I will even say unnatural disasters that have taken shape. Just recently, I believe Spain had a huge flooding that caused the lives of like hundreds of people. They've never witnessed a flooding like that in the history of their engineering systems, but because their newly elected leaders removed some of the environmental laws that they had in place, it affected the lives of so many people, and now the country is in disarray. And these are the things that we often see in the international news when it comes to these larger countries that are building revenue and have high GDP rates. But us as small nations, we're the ones that are putting all of these laws into place. We're trying to reduce our carbon footprint. Belize has the blue bond, the green bond, trying to assist any way we can. But because we're so small, it's like chump change in this large, sporadic world, that it's not necessarily making that big of a difference. Where these larger countries that are not doing their part, they're the ones that are increasing their carbon footprint. The 1.5 commercial to stay alive isn't just a cool song that you can vibe to, right? It has meaning.
I'll end off by saying this: skeptics are having a field day in terms of the "I told you so's," right?
And I said the science man is always the last one to be heard after so many different attempts into trying to assist and save the world. Yeah. But that is just one of the conversations. I know we're going to continue to talk about it in our newscast tonight. And of course, COP29 is approaching. And so we're going to have conversations about that delegation later on in the week or leading into next week. But another topic that is buzzing, this is the one that you brought to us this morning as well, Isani. I was unaware of the legendary Quincy Jones's passing.
Yes. For music lovers like myself.
Yes, I think we all know who Quincy Jones is. If you don't know who Quincy Jones is, you at least know at least one song that he produced in your lifetime, right?
He produced Michael Jackson's Thriller in its entirety.
Yeah, that's what I say. If you don't know who he is, you at least know music that he made, right?
Yes. And so his story, if you look at these black and white images that we just shared there, his story growing up in America at a time where they were dealing with all sorts of social, racial, and economic issues. And his escape was through music,
Music.
right? Went on to become a very prolific producer. He worked with quite a number of artists. Perhaps the biggest is Michael Jackson, as I mentioned earlier. But he has left an indelible mark on the music and entertainment landscape.
Yeah.
At 91, he had already retired from, production
Producing.
work and from working directly with artists and labels and what have you. But his legacy is one that we will certainly continue to talk about for years to come.
Yeah.
In terms of various genres of black music,
Yeah.
he has had his fingerprints all over.
All
over.
When I was in Washington, we went to the African American History Museum.
To interject quickly,
yes,
what
go
we're
ahead.
seeing is the We Are the World, the US for Africa. Okay.
Yeah.
This was in the 80s, and I was a child. But seeing all these artists, right? The Michael Jacksons, the Cyndi Lauper, and all of these many
Yeah.
artists come together
Yeah.
to sing for Africa and to raise funds for what was the plight then in Ethiopia and other parts of Africa with hunger, was one of those landmark moments. Sorry.
No. I wanted to allude to the fact that we know him as this music production legend, but he was really instrumental in shaping the social issues of the racial black movement
Yes.
in the United States. And
Yes.
so in that particular museum, like I was mentioning, he's there. His face is there, pictures of his records and so forth.
Yeah.
They're there because he is a prominent black figure. You talk about persons like Aretha Franklin and so forth that he also produced.
Worked
Will
with,
Smith
yeah.
worked with all of these legendary musicians, but his turn for being this black producer in this era where black people couldn't even sit at a particular diner.
Yeah.
That showed how instrumental he was in shaping the views and the personal views of persons that saw African Americans in that time period. So I just wanted to interject that
And
bit
that's
of
perfectly
history,
fine.
right? But last night, right? It was last night that he passed away, November
Yeah.
3rd. 91 years old. He lived a full life.
Full and
27
fruitful life.
Grammys.
Yes.
Jeez. Try to beat that. I don't think anybody could right now. But yes, rest in peace to Quincy Jones. I think in some way, shape, or form, he touched the lives of many people around the world. And in our final topic of what's buzzing, kind of shedding some light on Belize internationally as well. I saw this come up on my newsfeed and I thought it was really, really cool. We had 2 Belizeans venture off into Africa, and they ended up climbing and reaching to the top of Mount Kilimanjaro, if I'm saying that correctly, where they placed the Belize flag up there. I believe that is Lisa Cheng and her husband. They climbed all the way up to the top, and our flag is there. That's the highest mountain in Africa. I believe it's in Tanzania.
So I look at this as quite a daring feat.
I don't even
mountain
could do.
climbing isn't my thing, right?
No.
And I don't know how many Belizeans are into mountain climbing. And we can't say that we have rappelled at the Mayflower Bocawina. That doesn't constitute
or Victoria. Well,
mountain
Victoria
climb.
Peak is
To a lesser extent, but yes.
yeah.
But when you talk about Mount Everest, we talk about Mount Kilimanjaro.
Yeah.
That it takes some guts to be
It's
able to do
almost
that.
20,000 feet in the air. I believe
Yes.
it's over 19,000 feet. That is incredible and quite the journey. It takes like a week to do Victoria Peak.
Yeah. So here's my challenge, and this is far-fetched, but we're just, I'm waiting to see the Belizean flag planted on one of the planets.
You know what?
on the moon, perhaps,
on the moon,
or some other planet or something. Put the Belizean flag there, because we seem to be going everywhere with it.
We seem to be going everywhere with it, and that's one of the things I love about Belizeans that venture into the diaspora. You don't travel without that flag.
Yeah.
I remember as a student, it was plastered on my wall in my dorm, and I think that every Belizean that goes out, they're very proud of this flag. But yeah, kudos to Lisa and her crewmen. I can't believe that y'all almost 20,000 feet up. That is That is difficult. I didn't climb a mountain, but the highest I've been is 14,000 feet.
Wow.
And
Okay.
that is the lack of oxygen, the fact that, I mean, we're here and it's so warm and you just kind of plunge yourself into this height.
The air gets thin
The air is
at that height.
thin and it's very difficult to breathe. And so kudos to you guys for making it. I have no idea how long they stayed up there. It would be probably enough to just plant their flag and come back down.
Make your descent.
But congratulations, guys. That is awesome, putting Belize yet again on another global stage. But Isani, that does it for our What's Buzzing topics. And of course, here on Monday, we not just bring you What's Buzzing topics, but of course, we jump straight into our Eye on the News segment this morning.
So continuing with what's been taking place in the United Democratic Party, it's one of two conversations that we'll have for this morning's Eye on the News segment. But on Friday, there was news that the leader of the opposition, Mesopotamia Era Rep. Shine Barrow, through the law firm of Glenn D. Godfrey, has served notice of intended legal action regarding the takeover and what have you from the Alliance for Democracy faction of the United Democratic Party. And so it will be interesting to see how that plays out in court. Obviously, it's going to be a perhaps long drawn-out battle before the High Court. And this is all part of what's been taking place within the party over the last few weeks, perhaps a couple months, right? Where you have this internal power struggle. And depending on who one speaks with, they would acknowledge Tracy Tager Panton as the leader of the United Democratic Party, and others stand firmly behind Shine Barrow. We must note, however, that there's been sort of like a tectonic shift in support and allegiance, right? Where you have Omar Figueroa from Kyle North. And you have Elode Aragon Jr. from Orange Walk East, who have, along with their constituents, you know, recognized Tracy Panton's leadership of the party. And you still do have others who remain firmly in Shine's corner, including Deputy Leader Hugo Pat. We were able to speak with him on Friday.
Yes.
And it was quite an interesting interview that was given in terms of how he sees the entire scenario and where his loyalty lies, right? This is a person who, from either end of this issue, is being recognized as the first deputy leader of the party. So while those who acknowledge Tracy Panton's leadership would say, okay, Tracy is the party leader, Hugo Pat is the first deputy, then Bev, and then the chairperson is Sheena Pitts. That's on one end. On the other end, they still recognize Shine as a party leader, Hugo Pat as the first deputy, Alberto August as the vice chair, and then of course Mike Perfit as the chair of the UDP, right? All of this is happening in a sense in real time, simply because from day to day we don't really know what's going to happen next. It's a very dynamic and quite volatile situation as it is. And it's one that we continue to follow, you know. Going back to the legal aspect, as I mentioned before, it will be interesting to see what argument and the strength of the argument being put forward in light of the fact that the Unity Convention on October 20th brought out delegates that were in full support of a new leader, and in this case it's Tracy Panton. So how does that then, you know, play into what would be put forward before the High Court to decide on, in terms of the takeover that took place last Tuesday as well, Monday and Tuesday as well?
Yeah, I recall before the convention, we did have Tracy on the show. You and I sat with her, we had a conversation with her. And we did ask what would happen, right, if Shine does not recognize the outcome of this convention.
Yeah.
And she did say, well, legal action would have to be taken. My question really is, why wasn't legal action taken prior to said convention? It just seems like we're already in November. Elections can be called as early as February. And I'm not sure, or personally, I am not confident that this will be resolved by January.
Well, we'll see.
Right.
That's why I alluded to the fact that it'll probably be a protracted process through the courts. We all know that the courts move at their own speed. Things normally meander as opposed to be dealt with post-haste, but we'll see. We'll see where that goes from there. It's
a little disheartening to see that, you know, we're in 2024. Elections are coming in 2025. And even if they manage to get all of this resolved by next year when elections are called, you know, your standard bearers don't have enough time to, you know, get their campaign out there, talk about the issues, talk about how they're going to assist the people. It just seems that everything the discussion is all about the factions between, you know, these two divisions within the party. And when you are focused on that, you're not necessarily focused on the socioeconomic issues of your country. You can't have a conversation about that. Whether you are, you know, the leaders, or whether you're standard bearers or just supporters, you're all talking about this one particular thing. And the greater picture is something else. It shifts the focus from people and their needs socially
to the party and its personalities. Right? And it's a painfully difficult time to be in opposition. Because at this point, there's virtually no opposition, right?
There is none.
They're too busy with infighting.
And that's my point. So as a supporter of the party, or just as a voter in general, when I'm looking at the ballot and I'm looking at the persons that I'm supposed to be voting for, I won't really know who these standard bearers are and what they're standing for. So then do I even vote? Right, and then who do I, right? So that's my point. It's like you're rushing to get all of this going. You want to ensure that you bring unity within your party. Will you bring it in time? And that's my question.
So that's our first conversation for the Annual News segment this morning. Our second conversation is international. Because the world is watching, and I'm talking about the elections in the United States to be held tomorrow. Today is the eve of the 2024 presidential election. As we've all been covering, and as we all know, it's Vice President Kamala Harris who is facing off with former President Donald Trump. And this has been as divisive a campaign as one would know. We've seen early on that President Biden was running for a second term in office, and major concerns about his age and his ability and his mental state to hold this office once re-elected. Those took center stage at one point. He eventually stepped down and allowed Kamala Harris to succeed him in the presidential race for the Democrats. And of course, on the Republican side, you had Nikki Haley, who started off. She also withdrew, and then that gave rise to former President Trump to be the nominee for the Republicans. And tomorrow, Americans go to the poll to determine who the next president will be from 2025 onwards to 2029. It's a 4-year term in office. But this will be historic for two reasons, right? If it goes in favor of Kamala Harris, it would be the first woman president of the United States, and a woman of color at that. If it goes in favor of Donald Trump, he would be the first convicted person to take office, you know, in the fashion that this would play out. And so the world is watching for various reasons. Now, going into this elections tomorrow, there have been two major concerns shared by majority of the U.S. citizens. And that is the issue of immigration and inflation, right? When you look at what's been happening at the border points and how the issue of immigration has been handled by the present administration, some would argue that it leaves a lot to be desired in terms of the way this was handled. And then when you look at it from an economic perspective, you know, some Americans are crying holy hell that it's $5 per loaf of bread now, worst it's ever been in US economic history. And so those are the issues that they're grappling with that would probably have a direct impact on the way the vote is cast tomorrow.
You know, I'm not a pessimist in any means, right? I'm not. But I felt a bit of deja vu this coming up to this elections because it felt the same way when Hillary was running for president. Mind you, Hillary has a different, you know, political history than Kamala does. But it felt ominous to say the least. You know, people were like, oh, this is a person that has no experience in politics, and that's why we want to vote for him, to see what happens. And, you know, oh, but this would be the first woman president, so we want to see how that would take shape. And it really felt, looking at it from an international perspective, that, you know, it seemed obvious who the winner should have been. And I try not to make that same mistake looking at this election, regardless of all of the information that we had in the evolution of these two individuals in politics. At the end of the day, the US political voting system is very different from ours. And while Kamala might have the popular vote, Trump might win the Electoral College, and that is how he's going to win presidency. And I think that when we're looking at the way that people vote in the United States, to me, and just the way I've been observing it, is that voting in a presidential election is not as important as voting for your governor, for your state. Because those are the ones that elect your president, not so much you, the people, right?
It's a different process, it's a different democratic process.
Yes, and so when people are saying, oh, but Kamala is up in the polls here, or Trump is up in the polls here, I'm looking at the dynamics of swing states now, because that's how they are actually gonna get elected.
Indeed.
And it's a little bit confusing, because if I am a voter and I casted my ballot for Harris as president, but the persons that are within my electoral state say, well, we're still going to vote for Trump, regardless of your vote for Kamala. It makes you wonder about their democratic system. That's just my 2 cents on it, right?
To Al Gore versus George Bush in the early 2000s, with the Electoral College having the final say as to who became the president. But I'll leave that there.
Yes.
So certainly details of these stories and more you will be able to catch in our evening newscast live on 5 at 6 p.m. If you're unable to do so, feel free to catch our content on Facebook or YouTube. That does it for this morning's Eye on the News.
Jumping into our weather update for this morning. I think it was a rainy weekend for the folks in Belize City.
For the most part.
But it was very dry up north, so I was very happy about that. So let's get that update from the folks at the National Meteorological Service.
Good morning. Fair conditions prevail and will support mostly sunny skies today and partly cloudy skies tonight. Showers or thunderstorms will be isolated, except for a few more over southern coastal areas tonight. In the outlook for Tuesday and Tuesday night, showers or thunderstorms will be isolated. Winds today along the coast and over the open seas will blow from the east and northeast at 5 to 15 knots, and seas will be choppy. High tides will occur at 12:10 this afternoon and 11:01 tonight. Low tides follow at 5:01 this evening and 6:40 tomorrow morning. Temperatures this afternoon will peak at 76 Fahrenheit up in the Maya Mountains, 87 along the coast, and 91 inland. The moon will rise at 8:35 this morning and sunset is at 5:19 this evening. In the sargassum forecast, sargassum impacts are expected to remain minimal for the next couple of days. In the tropical weather update, at 3 o'clock this morning, tropical storm Pate was about 490 miles east of the Azores. Pate was moving to the east-northeast at 20 miles per hour with maximum sustained winds of 40 miles per hour. At 6 o'clock this morning, potential tropical cyclone 18 was located near 14.8 north, 76.8 west, or about 220 miles south of Kingston, Jamaica. Potential tropical cyclone 18 was moving to the north at 7 miles per hour with maximum sustained winds of 35 miles per hour. And that's the latest from the Belize Weather Bureau. Do have a pleasant day.
All right, thank you guys so much for that weather update. Jumping into our show lineup for this morning, in our first conversation, we'll be joined by the Honorable Jose Abelardo Mai, who will be giving us updates from the Ministry of Agriculture, Food Security and Enterprise.
Our second conversation will be joined by the Acting Coordinator for Behavioral Modification over at the Department of Youth Services, who will be talking to us about the upcoming International Youth Award.
And in our final conversation, we'll be joined by the folks at the Belize Diabetes Association. They'll be in to talk to us about the diabetes ride. But before we get into all of that and more, we got to take a quick break. And when we come back, it's all about updates from the Ministry of Agriculture, Food Security and Enterprise. Don't go away.
My name is Hermine Vega. El Patio Grill has been using Belize Bank for over 25 years. We only use Belize Bank at our restaurant. That's why we were able to win this trip to Europe. I had never been to Europe. We found out it was Madrid and we were excited and we went to this football match. The teams reached before the game and everybody was just outside, you know. You can't explain it. The noise just roared like 3 blocks down the street, but when you got in there and you saw 70,000 people in there, that was amazing. I couldn't believe it was happening. I had to pinch myself to make sure it was real, you know, because it's a one-in-a-lifetime experience, I'd say. My lucky plus one was my son. He's 18 years old, so he was really excited and he enjoyed it as well. He said it's his best trip ever, so it's a priceless experience that we got. Belize Bank has always been there for me. Whatever transactions or whatever I need to do, they're always there for me. I would recommend everybody to use Belize Bank. It's the oldest bank in our country and they continue to do their best.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is what you've been waiting for. In this corner, we have the masters of limitless power and unbeatable connections. Pioneers of 4G LTE in Belize. It's the undefeated champion, Smart. And in the other corner, struggling to keep up, it's the other guy. Fight! Tired of getting blow after blow from a plan with the other guys? It's time to tap out and join the winning postpaid plan provider. Smart's postpaid plans are a total knockout to the competition, and they have once again powered up their postpaid plans. Sign up for one of Smart's boosted postpaid power plans today and experience the victory of superior service. Smart, bringing people together.
Rising prices got you down? Well, let Benny's lift you up in these tough financial times. Right now, get low prices on construction materials, such as lumber. And whenever you make a purchase, remember to get your B-Box, which is free money. Only at Benny's, quality and savings.
Technology is ubiquitous, and it's transforming how, when, and where we work. Fulltech Systems is placing award-winning devices in the hands of information workers, allowing them to work without compromise in a world without wires, to innovate, create, and to maximize productivity anytime, anywhere, satisfying the needs of the desk-centric remote and field worker and every other worker in between. We are providing the industry's best devices to businesses going through the process of digital transformation. Partner with us today to provide the solutions that will allow your employees to work effectively and efficiently to enhance your customers' experience. Fulltech Systems, your technology center, where you'll come for the price, but stay for the service.
Don't miss the opening ceremony of the 17th edition of the Belize International Film Festival, live from UB's Jaguar Auditorium in Belmopan on Wednesday, November 6th at 7:30 p.m. Only on Channel 5, Facebook, and YouTube.
And welcome back. Joining us for our first conversation this morning is the Minister of Agriculture, Food Security and Enterprise, none other than Jose Abelardo Mai.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Minister
Good morning
Mai.
to all of you.
How have you
It's
been
wonderful.
doing?
It's wonderful to be here, man.
We don't see you a long
I
time.
know you're a busy guy, so
We've been keeping busy. We have a lot of things to do in the ministry. A lot of good things happening, but we also have some challenges.
yes.
And so it's important to speak of both whenever I come to your program. It's a very good program. You have a large audience, and so it's very important to get information out to the public.
Let's jump into some of the challenges right away. I know the most imminent threat to agriculture and perhaps food security at this point is the new screwworm that has been identified right next door in Isabel, Guatemala, and the fact that should screwworm be detected here in Belize, there's a potential loss of upwards of $60 million to our livestock economy. Let's start there.
Yeah, well, as you all know, Belize eradicated screwworm 30 years ago. It was endemic in the region. The eradication program began in the US, Mexico, followed by Belize, Guatemala, and Central America. That was the Comisión México-Americana para la Erradicación de Gusano Venador. So 1994 was when Belize declared itself free of screwworm. I never, in my mind, thought that we would fight the same enemy twice. It was eradicated all the way to Panama. Colombia was left because between Colombia and Panama there is the reserve called Darien.
It is jungle, it is mountainous, it is very dense, it is considered impenetrable. And so they decided to close down the civilization plant in Chiapas and put a small plant in Panama to just keep spreading flies, because worms are eradicated by biological control. Actually, you sterilize the flies so that when they mate with the fertile ones, you do break the cycle. So Darien was the spot where they opened a small plant in Panama and to just keep flies dispersed in that area. Small amounts, 20 million, 30 million flies. It happened that it crashed. It crashed from Colombia into Panama. It was probably not detected in time. Something went wrong, we believe. And the population started to build up. They couldn't control Panama, get out of hand. Last year, July, I was in Costa Rica when they found the first case in Costa Rica on a dog at the border of Panama and Costa Rica. They didn't seem to be much alerted. I was very alert. As a matter of fact, my second job as a technician was with the screw-on program. That was 1989. I was 19 years old and very young.
Remember that massive screw-on campaign?
Yes. So I'm a screw-on veteran, put it that way. And so they were unable to control Panama. They said, okay, what we'll do, we'll just disperse it, because the plant can only disperse at a time 20, 30 million flies. So dispersing in Panama, they realized they lost that, and they said, well, let's try to disperse at the border with Costa Rica. They started that, and they lost that battle too. The flies migrated deeper into Honduras, into Costa Rica. It's all over Costa Rica now, and Panama. So they said, let's worry about Nicaragua, because Nicaragua is a very key country, because it has 9 million head of cattle. It's the largest cattle producer in the region. And 1 million cattle move from Nicaragua into Honduras, into Guatemala, into Mexico annually, 1 million. And 90% of it is in the formal market. Right? So it's a challenge. So they said, well, let's do Nicaragua. And they started to disperse in the border at Nicaragua. And they lost that battle too.
Let me interject quickly before you continue. You've mentioned the informal trade or movement of cattle. How does that affect traceability in terms of being able to detect the movement of cattle that may be infected with screwworm or any other disease?
In those countries, traceability is a serious challenge. They don't have good traceability. It's a big countries. Let me tell you this. The only country that has 100% traceability is Belize. 100%. We have a huge advantage over these Central American countries. So 1 million cattle moving from Nicaragua into Mexico and eventually into the US. The US knows this. The Mexicans know this. The only country in Central America that does not import cattle for human consumption is Belize. We are net exporters of cattle. The only time we import cattle is for breeding purposes. And almost 99.9% comes from Mexico, not Guatemala, not Salvador. So we are very much in a better position. Anyways, they started to disperse flies in Nicaragua, and they were losing that battle, and they decided, let's do Honduras. So they opened a buffer between Honduras and Nicaragua, because there are farms on both sides of the borders, and they opened a 40-mile buffer, and decided to disperse flies there. And I was in Honduras last week, and I was very impressed with the work that they are doing. Orisa, along with the Ministry of Agriculture, is doing a hell of a job. They have, where the main point of entry is, they have a corral established. Animals are unloaded there, they are sprayed, treated, inspected one by one. They have the canine unit there, because now the screwworms, you can smell them now. Dogs are trained to that. 30 years ago, we don't have that technology, right? And so after they inspect the animals, they treat them, they load them again, and they can move. And then they have control points all along the highways. So it's difficult to get an animal through that has not been inspected, but it got through. So we left Honduras on Thursday and traveled to Panama to meet with the Minister of Agriculture. There is a new minister, by the way, and brief him what we are doing in Belize, and we are doing what they are doing in Panama. And we were there in the conference room where we were called that a case was being discovered in Isabel, about 40 miles from Toledo, from Butagorda. That set alarms all for us.
Yeah.
We had been planning this already. We are looking at preventative measures
Right.
in place. Today we have to act as though we have it, although we don't that have it. But we have raised the alarm. We are all on alert. We have a program in place, and I must thank Baja, commend Baja for the wonderful job they're doing. They are the lead.
I'm sorry to interject, but in terms of the preventative measures, I know you're also putting certain programs in place and all over the country to talk to farmers about the screwworm and so forth. What other preventative measures are you taking?
Well, we have to look at the unofficial points of entry and the official points of entry. We have cattle trucks coming to the country to buy cattle, not to bring in cattle. But these trucks also have sometimes they have feces on the floor, they have sand on the floor. And the fly can only move in 3 ways. One, it flies. It flies up to 15, 20 miles a day. Okay? Two, it is transported in the form of a larva in the womb, worm in the womb.
Yeah.
So you have open wombs, the cows come in,
Yeah.
the wombs, and then the pupate here. Two. And three, the fly catches a taxi in a vehicle or in an airplane. They have found flies in an airplane already in Panama, but it was a sterile flight, thank goodness. But it was treated. So we have to look at those measures, right? We have a situation in Halakte. You know the situation
just about to go there, yes.
With the Mayas and their land rights and all this stuff. But we are meeting with them to explain to them that this is the best interest of everybody. This is far and beyond differences with land. Who owns the land, who should live on the land, or who should own the land. It's total madness to me. But we have to meet with them and explain to them the urgency of the matter. And we have to, again, strengthen Halakte with police, with BDF, with quarantine people, so that we can treat all trucks coming in. I've said to these people, we cannot allow trucks to come in but have feces or sand, because they put sand in the trucks so that they can remove the feces
easier. Yeah.
So we said that cannot be. If you're going to load sand, you're going to be in Belize. It's going to be Belizean sand, not sand imported. So that we have to do. We have already signed the SI, or we're getting SI signed, I think, today, to spray trucks in and out, right, at all the points of entry, official and unofficial points of entry.
Let's look up in there, Minister. So we're looking at Halakte, as you've mentioned. I believe there's also Bullet Tree as another unofficial point of entry or crossing point, so to speak. But let's stay with Halakte for the time being, simply because that area has been outfitted with Baja, immigration, Treetops is there, the BDF outpost is there. Wouldn't that be sufficient controls at this point, once they are properly enacted to be vigilant and carry out whatever measures at that particular location?
Well, there have been some changes, you know. After this situation in Mayas, as a matter of fact, somebody was fencing off a part of the property, right? And I was saying to my colleague minister in Toledo, I said, listen, somebody defends off the place, like they're owning a place. And I said, oh, because the person believed that the land belonged to them. The land was all Krong land. But I think the situation deteriorated over time, and the police presence was not there. Baja cannot be there if the police presence is not there. Right? And the BDF is in Treetops. The BDFs were also down there too, but they moved up to Treetop. We have housing facilities there. So it's a matter of correcting that and strengthening what is already there. There are houses there, there's water there, so we spoke to Minister Karim Musa, immigration also, and we are going to put those people back today. And last week they had a meeting to discuss this, how we want to put that back. But to strengthen that. But not only that, around the Chicabil Reserve, I think there are farms in Guatemala and side that I think sometimes they use our
they do.
So our people have been deployed. Baja was on the ground last week in Toledo. First, they have to meet with the Alcalde Association, people, to inform them that this is happening and asking them for their support to help allow us to go into the villages and explain to the public that this is a matter that needs to be dealt with.
That was going to be my next question, because one of the we understand this conversation is essential for farmers, particularly those that do cattle ranching and so forth. But for the wider Belizean public and our viewers, what would this do to the Belizean economic system if the screwworm comes here?
I want you to picture today the cattle industry is worth close to $100 million. The last figures I saw on Friday indicate that there are more cattle farmers today than sugar cane farmers.
6,000 roughly?
About 6,000. We have 5,400 cane farmers, we have 6,000 cattle farmers now. And there are more persons venturing into cattle industry as situation gets a little more stickier, a little bit complicated with the sugar industry. So people are looking at ways to make money. And so cattle there's a good price, has a good market, and therefore why not that? So that's the nature of the human being looking for ways to make money. Now, 30 years ago, the industry was worth maybe $20 million. We had no formal export market. The demand for cattle in Guatemala, Mexico, these large populated countries, has grown tremendously. Mexico is 125 million people. Guatemala is 18.5 million people. We have 380,000 people. And we are not a beef consuming country. So all our beef is exported. So no, 20 years ago this was not the case. So what was a $20 million industry today is a $100 million industry today, right? We have both markets wide open and foreign exchange is pouring into the country. And the important thing with this foreign exchange is that majority of it remains in the country, unlike other major cash crops, where a large amount of the foreign exchange earned goes back out in the form of inputs and fuel, especially those highly intensive and that have high operating costs. Cattle is totally the opposite. So now, how is it going to affect it? Well, Mexico, with the first case of screwworm in Panama and Costa Rica, adjusted their export protocols. In our protocol we had before, there was no mention of screwworms. When we got the update from them, they said, guess what? Because of the screwworm cases, we have to now make adjustments. And the adjustment is as such. If there is a case of screwworm in Belize, you will not be able to export cattle to us, Mexico, until you have completed 12 months free after you declare yourself. 12 months after you declare yourself free of screwworm. Now that doesn't mean if you find a screwworm today, I treat it, throw flies around, and it's there no more, and 12 months after, no. There is a process for you to declare yourself free of a screwworm. Okay, so you find the last screwworm, you don't find any more for the last 6 months or 1 year, then you declare yourself free, and then 12 months after that. So it's not a short time.
But it's in the interim that you'd be losing money. Because
absolutely,
when they move cattle, no money not
we will go back to 2020 and before when they closed the border to exportation. Right? That cannot be the case for us. There are millions invested in the livestock industry.
So let me ask you then, from a personal perspective, when the People's United Party took office in November 2020, one of the first things that the Brazilian administration did, perhaps under your directive as the Minister of Agriculture, was to open back so that cattle can be moved out of the country as part of our export market. Now, 4 years later, you're facing this
crisis,
serious situation. How do you feel when you look at all of that?
It is worrisome. It is worrisome to me. It is, and I think my staff knows this, that I'm on them every single day because I know what screwworm is. I think I'm the only Minister of Agriculture in the region that is a screwworm veteran, that worked with the screwworm program, understands what it is in the field, understands the complexity of dealing with animals in the field. And so I am very much concerned, and I push them every day to do things quick, because I say this every time, when you and I sleep, the pest is not sleeping. It works 24/7.
They're feeding.
They are feeding. When you and I take a vacation on the weekend and go to wherever, the pest is feeding, it's growing,
and
multiplying. It's multiplying. So agriculture, the farmer always has this problem. He has to be a farmer 24/7. And the technician has to think in that way. I'm not till I go. I'm gonna get sick Monday. I'm not gonna Saturday the weekend, Friday week, Saturday weekend, Sunday weekend. Monday I'm calling sick. That doesn't work. Doesn't work. So I push them to do things fast, get this exercise in place, think like we have this damn thing here now, and let's move with it as fast as we can. Sometimes I get accused of being a little too pushy, but because I understand the complexity of the situation, understand the value of the industry, what do we lose? We have to lose.
Yeah.
Let me take you in a different direction now, right? So while you're facing an imminent threat with screwworm, Fusarium is wreaking havoc up north in the cane fields.
Yeah. Well, just let me tell you what I have in mind, what I'm planning. Guatemala right now at this time is unable to export cattle officially to Mexico. They have 3 truckloads at the border from last week, Thursday. I think they have returned them back to the place of origin. They have not allowed them to get into the country. They are still negotiating. We hope to negotiate with them too. I am not saying that we're going to have screwworm. I do not want it here. I will do everything to keep it out. My staff will do everything to keep it out. Our partners in development, the same thing. The USDA has reached out to us. The Mexicans have reached out to us. So let's do a plan. Belize, Guatemala, and Mexico. A trilateral plan to see how to keep it out, because they know that cattle trade amongst us is very common.
Yeah.
But we have to look at options. I would, first option, ask Guatemala, if we find this fly, if we find this parasite in Toledo, do not condemn my entire country. I will put control measures in place.
Yeah.
But I need to put first the control places so that I can justify, see, I have Toledo cornered off, the population in cattle there is small, it's not big, we will control, but I have to first have those control places, one. The second option is to look at value adding. Maybe this is a blessing in disguise. It will force us to look at a way to then process our animals. I've always thought about value adding, vertical integration. Why are you selling my rare product, which is beef on the cow on the hoof? I want to know the cuts. And the Prime Minister has said to me, Abi, you need to find a way to get cuts. Let's talk to the Mexicans about getting cuts, but for that we have to have a certified slaughtering facility, HACCP certified. Maybe they can give us a 6 months grace period, allow us to put a HACCP in place and then move on. But these are the negotiations. We've asked Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade to help us get a meeting with the Minister of Agriculture of Mexico. He's a new minister. I understand he's a very knowledgeable gentleman also in agriculture. And I will reach out to him anytime in the next week or so to address these matters. But I cannot, or nobody, no government should allow the cattle industry to go down because you found the fly. So one is preventative. Keep it out of Belize. Option two, look at zoning off the country. And 3, look at value adding. The 4th thing, if you have it, eradicate as early as you can. And I'm hoping and praying with all the work that we're doing that we will not have it. The advantage that we have again is that we are not an importer of beef, and we have to keep it that way. And all those who bring in trucks to the country to buy cattle, we've spoken to them and said, you cannot bring in trucks with sand and feces on the floor. It has to be clean. So that's what I want to say with screwworm. Again, it's a huge industry, and we need to protect it as much as we can.
Very good.
On to sugarcane.
On to sugarcane.
Fusarium.
Fusarium, yes.
I cannot speak of Fusarium as Fusarium itself. I have to speak in the context of the other diseases that are affecting or having an effect on Fusarium. We have there are 4 major problems in the sugar industry. We have the frackhopper, the anomalia. We have the stem borers. We had no stem borers before, to be honest. Mexico had stem borers. Someone imported large amounts of sugarcane planting material from Mexico. That is how it began. And then we took seed from that infected fields and planted it all over the place. And now we have a serious problem with stem borer. We have now Fusarium. Fusarium is a fungus that lives in the ground. You know, naturally, it lives in the ground. There is Fusarium oxysporum, there's Fusarium rheosphore in bananas, there's Fusarium wilts in the cucurbits, there's Fusarium in the solanaceous plant, tomatoes and sweet peppers. But Fusarium has never, that I remember, that I know in Belize, affected sugarcane. right? But the weather we have today, right? In 2019, 2020, we had the worst drought affecting sugarcane. We lost, I think, 150,000 tons of sugarcane. And in 2024 right now, 2024, we have the worst weather when it comes to rainfall. We had the highest temperatures. What has happened, Fusarium has now converted itself to a pathogen-causing organism. It's now causing a disease sugarcane never seen before. We don't even know the species that is affecting us. We know it's a Fusarium. We do not know if it's Fusarium saccharine or Fusarium something else, but it's affecting us. And people don't want to test it. They don't know why a cane with Fusarium in their country if you test it. There's a risk. Now, what do we do? Stembora causes wounds on the sugarcane and allows Fusarium to enter and just kills your plant. The evaluation done by CIRDI, which is the competent authority, they are saying that we have almost 41,000 acres being affected at this time in different levels. Level 1, level 2, and level 3. Level 1 being mild, level 2 intermediate, and 3 being maximum. But the level 1s and 2s are moving to level 3 as the weather continues with rainfall. And it's like a human. If you live in a very bad condition with poor food, you live in a mud and water, and your disease affects you, you are vulnerable. If you fly over the cane fields, you will see water all over right now. So it makes you more vulnerable. So Frauenhofer, the environment, the climate, the conditions are perfect for Frauenhofer. They come in. Stembora is there. Then you have now Fusarium coming in. So you have a cocktail of challenges in the sugar industry right now. Right?
So for the viewer who might be wondering, okay, so how does this now affect industry? So take us from the sugarcane plantations to productivity in terms of being able to deliver healthy cane and, of course, the milling process.
Look, the experts in the ministry have calculated losses of 30%. I was just reviewing this morning while driving to Belize City, and I'm saying, well, how can this be possible? 30% drop in sugarcane productivity, right? How can we deal with this? And the most difficult part of this, the greatest challenge, is there's not a silver bullet that will deal with this. There's not a treatment that we know will solve this problem. Some say, well, you need to declare a state of emergency. That's fine. We can find something in the law, because the law does not easily say that you can declare a state of emergency for a phytosanitary situation or an animal health situation. It has for COVID, right? It has for forest fires and earthquakes and hurricanes and floods and droughts. But it does
Even
not have
murders and crime and violence.
Yes. So I'm sure that we can find somewhere to declare it. The Agriculture Ministry does not. Under the Baja Act, we cannot. We can declare a disease, a notifiable pest or disease, or a pest or disease of quarantine importance. That's as far as we can go, Baja. But under the Disaster Act, maybe something can be found there to look at this. Other countries do it. So I'm certain that we can find a way. But that does not guarantee you that you will find somebody who will give money. And if you do get the money, because you declare a state of emergency, how will you use it? Will you take good money and throw it behind bad money, right? It is not a one cure that you have. It's a system that put place. It has to be an integrated system. I remember when I was a kid, we had smut in the sugarcane industry. Smut was on the really common cane. We had the white cane and the bamboo cane. We had the old cane. And then eventually we replaced those with the new varieties, which were resistant or tolerant to disease, and then smut eventually went away. Okay? This is an integrated, not only integrated pest management, but integrated cropping system. It's a fungus, it's living soil. If I walk into my cane field and I walk into your cane field, you don't have it, you have it then. Right? With all the water on the ground right now, the water runs through the fields, it's taking the fungus to the other fields. Right? If you take your plow, your cultivating equipment, plow your cane field that has it, and move to the cane field, it's spreading it. Right? So it's a whole different change. If I if I, in the field spraying a fungicide to control the fusarium, and I move to the other field that doesn't have it, I'm spreading it too, right?
So are we now looking at, through your ministry, several different projects that would implicate that we could do sustainable practices in the sugarcane industry?
Absolutely, that's the way to go. The government, last month, the Prime Minister, you heard, passed a number of supplementary bills in the House. $1 million for sugarcane fertilizer, $1 million for citrus, $1 million for worm, that's $3 million. Maybe he would say, well, I have $1 million more for fungicide, but that will not solve the problem.
Yeah.
Right? We have to look at biological control. We have to look at chemical control.
Are you
We
open
have
to
look
research projects to look
we
at
have to
this?
look at cultural practices.
My question, Minister, what are the stakeholders saying? So you have cane farmers on one end, you have Belize Sugar Industries on the other end, and then you have the government in the middle via the Ministry of Agriculture. What are your stakeholders saying?
The stakeholders are worried about productivity. I think BSI has asked that we declare a state of emergency to draw down on funds out there. Maybe they have access to funds out there if we declare a state of emergency. We are saying that we have to be strategic. There is a task force of professionals put together for them to make some recommendations to the ministry. Me, from my perspective, from my experience, and my little knowledge I have in agriculture, I am saying that it must be a program put in place. Look at citrus with citrus greening.
Yeah.
There is no magic bullet that could cure citrus greening. Up to today, they have varieties that are being planted that show a level of tolerance to the disease.
Yeah.
Level of resistance. But farmers are not planting more because they want to see in the next 2 years how those plants will perform, right? And of course, they had internal problems, but we have to do the same. It has to be a program, and so this task force is looking. I believe will be looking at that, and I am reaching out to our partners development, ICA, the Brazilians who are very good at this. The Brazilians from Embrapa and the Indians. Indian cane farmers have gone through this problem, but all the records show, all the research shows that there is no single bullet that will fix this problem.
Yeah.
Yesterday I spoke to very prominent Mexican farmers in Obregon. They have written off 2,000 hectares of cane because of fusarium. 2,000 hectares, and they have no idea what to do, no clue.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
That's a
what,
waste of crop.
I was
but,
going to say that, so
it's
what
a
does that
reality.
do for our crop coming in?
It is not good for us. It is challenging. It is a big pebble in my shoe now, and I need to find solutions because the farmers want solutions. They don't want excuses.
All right. Now, the third topic that we want to touch on, again, is the challenges we're still on. The loss of grain due to the heavy rains and floods that we've been experiencing. I know that grain farmers are also taking a lick. Rice and other
Soybean.
forms.
You know, I've heard arguments and I've seen arguments on different chat groups like that when you speak about climate change. Oh, that's a myth. It doesn't exist. It is an invention of someone, you know, to make money.
Yeah.
Climate change is real. I mean, from it started to rain, it has not stopped. It stopped for 3 days the most, and it continues raining and raining and raining. The worst thing that a farmer can experience, the worst pain, is that he pays for a seed. He treats the seed, he plows the land, he harrows the land. He plants the seeds, he fertilizes, he controls the insects, he controls the pests. And he has a beautiful crop.
And here comes the water.
And though the crop is ripening,
Yeah.
the fields are, the trees, the plants are loaded with seed. And it's time to harvest. And there comes 6 inches of rainfall. And the farmer looks out through the window and sees his plants just deteriorating out there, loaded.
Yeah.
It is not a good feeling for the farmer. And for those who understand it, it pains the heart and the pocket
Yeah.
Yeah.
to see that you're losing your crop daily and hoping that the sun will come out tomorrow to harvest. Belize, this is the third year that Belize has been self-sufficient in soybean. The only country in the region that produces soybean for itself and for export and for processing for oil and for refined oil. The only country, and we've been applauded for that. But this year we're going to serious challenges. The weather has not held up. The photographs, the images shown to me, and I saw some in the field, it's just horrible, right? And this year we were going to have a very good crop of soybean because the plants were just loaded. Everything was good except you are 99% through the crop.
Yeah.
The 1% you're harvesting, and now you're losing that. So the farmers are asking, how can the government help us? And that's we must give it some consideration. How are we going to help? We've helped the cattle farmers, we've helped the cane farmers, we are helping the citrus producers. And so we must, as a government, find some way to see how we can help farmers. But we are still at the assessment. Hopefully, if the sun comes out, the weather holds up, we may be able to still salvage some of the acres. But right now, it is challenging. So the guys are in the field right now looking at Little Belize, Newland, Indian Creek to see.
As a farmer yourself, and you've had X amount of years in the field and experience, with climate change, that's not something that we can avidly control. But perhaps, is there a way that you can now perhaps apply adaptable new farming techniques and new irrigation systems, maybe?
Our agriculture policy is strongly advocating for that.
Okay.
Our livestock industry, sustainable livestock practices is what we are applying. The sad thing about this too is that sustainable agriculture, climate smart agriculture, all these fancy terms means nothing without financial backing.
Funds.
Right? So when you go to this COP 24 and COP 23 and all these
Cups.
All the
All the cups.
right? And all the fancy talking, there's no money put behind it. I have now actually forced to go to Azerbaijan in the next week.
Yeah.
And I actually did not want to go because I do not like tax shops. You go
We
broke
talked about that earlier.
Yeah, we were.
I do not, but because of the Central American ministers putting a position, I've been asked to be a panelist. I haven't been there since I was elected. Other people go, I say, listen, let them go. I have things else to do in Belize. But this year, I need to go. I'm asked that to go. But this is going to be one of the main topics. They have messed up their environment. Right? We still have our trees. We are practicing some sustainability, but it's not cheap. Right? I speak to the farmers every day, cattle farmers. And you see, when you drive all the way, when you drive between Ojok and Belize City on your right-hand side, all that Pine Ridge land that burns every year, we say let's convert this to an economic unit. Right? Let's convert it into pasture, but we plant trees, rehabilitate the forest, you reforest, right? But when that person who invests in the reforestation of the farm sells his cattle, and the one who did not reforest sells the cattle, it's the same price,
Yeah.
right? So who pays for this? I say this every day. If the cow's livestock is the third largest producer of greenhouse gases, methane. So I'm saying, if my cows produce 100 tons of methane, I need to produce 100 tons of oxygen.
Yeah.
Right?
Offset.
Yeah. To balance it.
But to produce that oxygen is not cheap. So climate smart agriculture, resilient agriculture, sustainable agriculture ain't cheap. So when these people from the developed countries go to these big forums and talk a lot of rhetoric, but don't put money behind what they're saying, they're doing nothing. And I don't intend to go to Azerbaijan and follow that trend. Right? What is happening to us today is as a direct effect of climate change. It is.
Before we conclude our conversation with you, on the upside, there was a technical team here from Taiwan that was working collaboratively with Baja to see how shrimps can be exported to Taiwan. Let's talk about that.
I have to, again, congratulate Baja for the great job that they're doing. The shrimp industry in 2014, I think, was valued at $91 million. When we took office, it was $1 million. We put back the pieces, made some restructuring, refinancing for some of the stakeholders. Today, it is growing. The Mexicans opened the market for us again. But the market was, the production was so little that we didn't have for the Mexicans. We barely had for ourselves. But we put measures in place. Baja is doing their due diligence. And then we signed this partial scope agreement with Taiwan. Baja is the competent authority. They do the certification of the farms. And so, with Taiwan's interest in our shrimp, they said, well, they want to do a risk assessment. Our people on the ground, Baja, were certifying the farms and the fields, and they pointed out certain weaknesses that there is in the system, which they are correcting. But the Taiwanese will not only take your word for it. So they will send their technical team, which is what they did last week. And they, along with Baja, visited the different farms and congratulated Baja on a job well done. So Baja is doing a formidable job with the shrimp industry and with the other industries. Like I said, we are on a good path with the shrimp industry, because if we were to tap into that market, remember that their shrimp was being provided before by the Honduranians, but they switched, and so there's a vacuum of production there, which Belize can pick up. But we need to do that well. So we need to do it well, and Baja is at the forefront of doing that. So that is, yes, on a positive note.
We have to leave it on a positive note, but I know there's a lot more happening within your different ministries. We didn't even really tap food security completely and enterprise, but you have to come back and have that conversation.
Thank you, we'll be happy to do so.
We would like for you to come back and give us an update after COP. Actually, that would be a great conversation to have.
Wonderful.
So thank you so much for being here with us, Minister.
Thank you too.
We're going to take a quick break and we're going to switch gears into the diabetes ride with the Diabetes Association. You don't want to miss that conversation. We'll be right back.
Take control with My Social Security, your secure online account to manage all your Social Security information. To create a My Social Security account, you must be 14 years or older and have a valid email address. Visit the My Social Security self-service portal at ssbportal.org.bz. Click on Create Account. Enter your date of birth and phone number. Next, verify your email address to continue. To verify, simply enter your email address and click the Send Verification button. Enter the verification code sent to your email inbox to proceed. Next, create a password that meets the requirements. Enter the name and select the reason for your account. Then click Create. Your My Social Security account was successfully created. Your information security is our priority. If you have a Social Security number, click Link My SSN to link your Social Security number to your account and activate using the steps in your confirmation email. If you do not have a Social Security number, click Register with SSB. You are now ready to truly experience Social Security at your fingertips.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is what you've been waiting for. In this corner, we have the masters of limitless power and unbeatable connection. Pioneers of 4G LTE in Belize. It's the undefeated champion, Smart. And in the other corner, struggling to keep up, it's the other guy. Fight! Tired of getting blow after blow from a plan with the other guys? It's time to tap out and join the winning postpaid plan provider. Smart's postpaid plans are a total knockout to the competition, and they have once again powered up their postpaid plans. Sign up for one of Smart's boosted postpaid power plans today and experience the victory of superior service. Smart, bringing people together.
Hey Manuel, what's up bro? What you doing here?
I'm just checking out the new electric buses. So tell me, have you submitted your bid on them?
No, I haven't done so as yet. Actually, I don't know how it works. Can you tell me more?
Of course. Come on in, let's check it out. As you know, the Belize City Council is managing 2 for the Belize City routes. But now, the government is looking for private operators to manage 3 for the district routes. These new buses were funded by the European Union, and they are bigger and more comfortable for the district routes between Belize, Corozal, and Cayo.
So how does the management work?
UNDP owns the buses and charging stations for now, but private operators will manage everything: staffing, operations, and maintenance. The government will oversee the process. It is a great way to build your own business.
That sounds like a solid opportunity. So how do we as operators get involved?
It's a competitive process. They're looking at your experience, relevant resources, management skills, and of course, best value. If we win, we get a 2-year contract to operate these bad boys.
That sounds like a win-win opportunity. Might be time to get my bid together.
That's right. Only those who have sent their expression of interest can submit their bid for an opportunity to be a part of the future of transportation. For more information on the bidding process, please contact the Chief Transport Officer at the Department of Transport at 828-9239. Bids are open until November 2024.
A dynamic and charismatic personality with a passion for storytelling? Do you have a unique voice that captivates audiences and a talent for bringing stories to life? We are looking for fresh faces who are energetic, engaging, and natural in front of the camera or microphone. If you are passionate about acting or voice work, we want to see what you've got. To register, email producer@channel5belize.com or call 670-6068.
Back to Open Your Eyes. We are getting into our second conversation for this morning with the Belize Diabetes Association. We have joining us in studio here to my left is Miss Marjorie Swift, and she is the treasurer of the BDA. Next to her is Mr. Raymond Shepard, and he's the vice president. And next to him is Miss Lynette Valerio, and she is the president of the Belize Diabetes Association. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen.
Good morning. Good morning, guys.
We've had the discussion about diabetes awareness. We've been having several promotions and events kind of alluding to diabetes awareness for the better part of a couple of weeks now. So let's get into the strategy of the different awareness campaigns that the Belize Diabetes Association is undergoing.
Sure. So as mentioned, I'm the vice president. I'm also a type 2 diabetic living with the condition for the past 3 years. Awareness is important because diabetes has emerged as one of the most common chronic disease, impacting the lives of individuals, families, society. It's life-threatening, it's disabling, and a lot of cost complications. It is estimated that about 537 million people across the world is living with diabetes. And of that equates to about 10% of the world population between the age of 20 and 79. Closer to home, it's estimated that about 14.5% of our population between the age of 20 and 79 are living with diabetes. But even more alarming is about 50% of those who are living with diabetes don't know that they're living with diabetes. So awareness is very crucial. According to the Ministry of Health data, last year 152 persons died from diabetes.
Wow.
That is about just around 3 persons every week. A greater number than murder and crime.
When we're talking about diabetes and Belize, it is the #1 killer, the #1 disease that is affecting our population.
Yes, the Ministry of Health has it as the fourth leading cause of death.
Leading cause of death. What is happening within our society and perhaps within our diet that is causing persons to emerge becoming diabetic?
Well, for the most part, our diet is one of the factors that leads to diabetes. And that is because we eat a lot of starch. So diabetes is basically when you eat food, your body signals to the pancreas to release insulin.
Yeah.
So insulin is like a key that opens the lock to letting the glucose into your blood cell. For type 1 diabetics, they do not produce enough insulin. So they are referred to as insulin dependent. In terms of type 2, they are insulin resistant. So they are producing insulin, but the body is not accepting it the way it should. So when we eat a lot of starchy food, that builds up a lot of glucose, and the glucose that is not going into the bloodstream for energy stays in the blood system.
So part of the awareness raising is the series of activities that the Diabetes Association has. I understand that there's an upcoming ride that's taking place as part of these initiatives. Let's get you in on it, Ms. Lynette.
Thank you for that. So one of our biggest awareness in November is the Diabetes Ride Out Diabetes. And that ride will be this Saturday, November 9th. We will start from ITVET. Actually, we will take a bus that will take the riders up to Corozal. So we're asking riders to be at the ITVET for 3:30. The bus will leave at 3:30 from ITVET, Saturday morning, November 9th. And the bus is going to take the riders up to Corozal. That's where the ride is going to start from. In Corozal, from in front of the Tony's Inn, 6 o'clock a.m. We will be riding from Tony's Inn at 6 to Belize City. There will be a brief stop in Orange Walk in front of the ICB insurance compound. We'll stop there briefly for some refreshments, and then we'll continue, and then there's a second stop by the Mascal Junction, again for another set of refreshments, and then we ride into Belize City. So it's a ride, it's not a race. So we're encouraging all the riders to come and support this awareness campaign. So we just ride slowly from Corozal to Belize City, perhaps an average of about 10 to 15 miles per hour. And we encourage all the riders to be together because, you know, it's just a ride that we just want to bring the awareness of diabetes. And we ride into Belize City, and we will culminate at the ITVET compound, where the riders will, you know, will be having some final refreshments and a lunch at that time. So there's a registration of $25 for every riders, because that $25 will cover refreshments and all the maintenance and the lunch at the ITVET.
Apart from this particular right of awareness and so forth, what do the proceedings go towards, the association itself? How does the association assist persons that have diabetes?
Great. So the association helps people who need help with monitors and glucose strips, because we believe that everybody who is living with diabetes needs to be able to test themselves on a daily basis. Okay. Because as we mentioned earlier, the starchy food that we eat could be one of the major factors that is causing the elevated glucose level. And so when a person tests regularly, then they will be able to determine how high their glucose level is. Because many times people are living and they don't know that they have diabetes because the body just adjusts and there's no signal that their glucose levels are high. So that's one of the saddest things about diabetes, that people have high glucose levels and they're not aware of it. And as Mr. Vice President mentioned earlier, half of the people who have diabetes don't know that they don't have it.
But wouldn't there be symptoms?
Yes, Mr.
Yes, there are some common symptoms, but for type 2 diabetics, they could be living with the disease and don't realize the symptoms. But some of the common symptoms are you're thirsty, frequent urination, you're always hungry, you're tired. So sometimes you're at home, your child or siblings might be, you think that they're lazy, but it's actually one of the symptoms of diabetics that go unnoticed.
There's also an upcoming health fair that coincides with all of these activities that the Diabetes Association is undertaking.
The health fair is a culmination of all the activities that leads up to World Diabetes Day, which is November the 14th. We know we have the church services, we go to the schools. So the fair will be held at the Battlefield Park on Thursday, November 14th. We're inviting everyone to come and test, because as they mentioned just now, that people have diabetes and they don't know. So it's a good time. Bring out the family, everything is free. We'll have free testing, we'll have free diabetes education, we'll have the monitors and the different strips and so to offer for sale. So I'm encouraging you to come out. It's going to be worth the while to come out and see what is your position with diabetes. We also will do blood pressure testing, so they go together. A lot of people who have diabetes also trouble with high blood pressure. So we do testing for both of them out there. But the field park from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. in the afternoon.
And this is the This is the 14th.
Yes, this is the 14th, Thursday.
Okay, and then the ride is
Saturday the 9th.
The 9th. Can you give us the time and the date and everything again, please?
So Saturday, November 9th is the ride. We leave from IT Vet here in Belize City at 3:30 a.m. in the morning. 3:30 in the morning, and the bus will take riders to Corozal Town, and we will start in front of Tony's Inn.
And you're taking riders from all over the country?
Riders all over the country who would like to come and ride with us. Or there's some riders who live near to Corozal Town. They could just meet us at the starting point. And the ride starts at 6 a.m. to Belize City. Brief stop in Orange Walk Town and brief stop at Mascal Junction, and then from that into Belize City. So it's a ride.
I know that.
How has this initiative grown over time? I know you would have introduced this ride and of course the health fair and whatever other associated activities some years ago. How have you been able to measure its progress in terms of participants, in terms of being able to realize the proceeds and what have you?
Great. We have seen a lot of involvement with people now coming on and signing and becoming members at our association. And because of the constant awareness, we have seen that diabetes, according to the Ministry of Health and Wellness, some years ago, about maybe almost 2 to 5 years ago, diabetes was the number 2. It was the number 2 cause of death. First, second, and now we're seeing that it's the 4th. So we feel that it has gone down, which is a good thing, but there still needs to be a lot of awareness because more and more people are developing diabetes and don't know it.
When it comes to, oh, yes, go ahead.
Yeah, so one of our strategy or our strategic aim is to reduce the incidence, the prevalence of diabetes by 20% by 2030.
Wow, great. And what is the plan? How do you intend to do that?
Foremost is awareness, because when we know better, we could do better.
Yes.
So we also go to the schools to do presentation for the school age children. And we feel that that is important because in some cases they are being discriminated and stigmatized against. Because as I mentioned earlier, one of the effects or symptoms is you're always hungry.
Yeah.
So a type 1 diabetic would have to be constantly monitoring and snacking.
Oh, wow.
And as I mentioned again, frequent irritation, they have to have restroom break, and that might annoy some of the teachers or the other children in the class that are not aware of what's happening.
Who are some of the collaborators and stakeholders that join with the Belize Diabetes Association to spread awareness?
Yeah, we have the HECOPAB, the Ministry of Health and Wellness first and foremost, the Cancer Society, the Kidney Association, the National Drug Abuse Association, and we encourage other stakeholders to join us. We also have a few other diabetes organizations in the country that we also support. The People Diabetes Foundation is one that also do work awareness of diabetes, and throughout the country, our association, the Belize Diabetes Association, have branches. So we have branches in Punta Gorda, Dangriga, Belmopan, San Ignacio. We do have some agents in the Keys, agents in Orange Rock and Corozal as well.
Will these different districts also be doing events?
Yes. Okay. So every organization, Diabetes Association organization, do something, and our association, our branches, they also have some activities in their areas.
Can we expect some of these stakeholders at the health fair the 14th?
Yes.
I am not sure. I know we will. Well, we are the head office, so we will cover everything.
The testing
the
and
testing,
everything.
yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Can you give us the date and the time for the health fair?
No, it is
and what we can expect?
Pardon?
And what we can expect.
Okay. The date is the 14th of Thursday, the 14th of November, from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. at the Battlefield Park. And like I've said, we'll have free testing, free education in terms of how to deal with it, the food, the way you should eat, to prevent or to manage your diabetes. Yeah. And we'll also have the kits, the monitor that you test your sugar level, and the strips. We have them on display, and you could buy it there. And
I was going to ask, where can we purchase these?
Well, we sell it at the diabetes office, but it will be out there for sale. I'm not sure if we're having a special.
Yes,
for that
we will have some special discounted prices. Yeah.
Okay. It's during the school time, but we encourage kids to get tested as well, right?
Yes.
Yeah, we have invited the neighboring schools and the neighboring high schools. So it's not only if they get tested, but also to get the information and just for them to be aware. I also want to mention that one of our major partner with the health fair and our November activities is the Lions Club. The Lions Association partner with us for the health fair.
Wonderful. Apart from these different events and fundraisers, how can persons assist the Belize Diabetes Association?
Great. We need volunteers. One of those things, we need volunteers, as we also need people to donate to us, because there are many times people who would come and need a machine, glucose monitors. And Mr. President was going to add something else?
Yes, there are several ways you could become involved with the Belize Diabetes Association. If you are diabetic, you could become a member. And even if you do not have diabetes, you could become a supporter to someone who have diabetes. You could also be an influencer. So if you're living with diabetes, you could go on TikTok and the social media and talk about your experience so other people could learn from it. You could also be an advocate to go out and raise awareness. We're also looking for policymakers to help change and bring about policies for better healthcare, access to healthcare, as well as you could be a donor. You could donate your time, come to the association office, corner of Mahogany Street and Central American Boulevard, and volunteer time, or you could donate funds, or you could donate instead of, in case of a death, legacy. So in case of people bringing wheat, they could donate funds to the Belize Diabetes Association.
Wonderful. Thank you all so much for being here this morning. The Belize Diabetes Association bike ride is going to be starting from Corozal this Saturday, November 9th at 6 a.m. So if you want to volunteer, you want to be a rider, if you want to register, contact the Belize Diabetes Association through your media pages, right?
Yeah, or Facebook, social media pages.
Thank you all very much for being here this morning. We are going to take another quick break, and when we come back, we will be introducing the International Youth Award. We'll be right back.
March 1st, 2024, 3 new regulations came into effect to help strengthen road safety measures in Belize. In an effort to understand the reason behind these new regulations, we sat down with one of its key designers, the Deputy Chief Transport Officer, Mr. Peter Williams, from the Department of Transport.
I have been with the Department of Transport for about 16 years now. I would advise the Chief Transport Officer and the Minister of Transport on matters pertaining to land transportation in Belize. I'm also involved with drafting of legislation pertaining to land transportation as well.
How are increasing road traffic incidents affecting Belize?
Most people have this perception that whenever a collision occurs, that it is only the person or persons who are involved in the collision is affected, but that is not true. Our entire economy is affected by road traffic collision because there is a cost to responding to road traffic collisions. There is a cost to the household of these persons who are injured in a road traffic collision. And so because of that increase over time, government recognized that there was tremendous need to be able to address this issue of increased road traffic collisions in Belize.
As a junior officer in the field, what did you experience and what impact did it leave on you?
I think I've seen so many gruesome accidents now. We would stop vehicles at a checkpoint and we would inform the driver and the passengers to put on their seatbelt, and they would comply reluctantly and drive off. And moments after, somebody would stop us and say, hey, there is an accident that just happened down the road, and we would quickly respond. And lo and behold, it's the same vehicles that we told about the seatbelt, one body here, one body there. And it was always sad. I remember this one time we responded to a collision, and there was this in my mind, a young baby, no more than 6 years old, lying there dead. This was before we had the use of the electronic devices regulation. Vehicles passing by with their phones out the window, recording this young child. It's like we've lost our way in a sense, to not have any regard for a life that has been lost. I remember this one time we responded and the person was like almost torn into two. I've had friends and families who have died through traffic collisions. It's not pretty. I have one of my cousins, we were very close. We grew up as brothers. He died in a road traffic collision by a drunk driver. That person is doing several years in prison right now, but that motivated me as a junior officer within the department to continue to try to do my part to see how we can improve road safety in Belize. And so when the opportunity came for me to be involved with the road safety project. I put my blood, sweat and tears into that. I was up many nights doing all the research, the science behind road traffic collisions, how it affects other regional countries, how it affects us globally as well. So these were some of the driving factors, not only for me but for the department as well.
What message do you have for all road users in Belize?
I'm just hoping that as we move forward as Belizeans, we're able to respect each other when using the roads. Driving is not something to be taken lightly. You need to be able to properly maneuver a motor vehicle and understand that persons who are riding their bicycles, persons who are walking on the road, those persons are more at risk than you are because you are protected by the motor vehicle that you're in. Those persons will receive immediate injury that can cost their family, that can cost their life as well. And so with all these factors combined, we're hoping that we'll be able to see better usage of roads in Belize.
My name is Hermine Vega. El Patio Grill has been using Belize Bank for over 25 years. We only use Belize Bank at our restaurant. That's why we were able to win this trip to Europe. I had never been to Europe. We found out it was Madrid and we were excited and we went to this football match. The teams reached before the game and everybody was just outside, you know. You can't explain, the noise just roared like 3 blocks down the street, but when you got in there and you saw 70,000 people in there, that was amazing. I couldn't believe it was happening. I had to pinch myself to make sure it was real, you know, because it's a one-in-a-lifetime experience, I'd say. My lucky plus one was my son. He's 18 years old, so he was really excited and he enjoyed it as well. He said it's his best trip ever, so it's a priceless experience that we got. Belize Bank has always been there for me. Whatever transactions or whatever I need to do, they're always there for me. I would recommend everybody to use Belize Bank. It's the oldest bank in our country and they continue to do their best.
Are you a dynamic and charismatic personality with a passion for storytelling? Do you have a unique voice that captivates audiences and a talent for bringing stories to life? We are looking for fresh faces who are energetic, engaging, and natural in front of the camera or microphone. If you are passionate about acting or voice work, we want to see what you've got. To register, email producer@channel5belize.com or call 670-6068.
Welcome back. Joining us for our final conversation. It's all about the National Youth Awards, and we have with us the Academic Excellence Award winner herself of 2023, Ms. Jasmine Saunders. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Let's get right into this award. What is it and why it's important that we bring awareness to the amazing work that the youths are doing in our country?
Okay, so I was the recipient of the 2023 Academic Excellence Award. They have various categories, such as sports and different aspects that they're trying to recognize the youths in Belize. And it's quite a robust process, and I can clearly remember that I was nominated previously, and I wasn't successful, but it was adjusting me to understand that there was many other youths who needed to be highlighted, and they were well deserving of the Academic Excellence Award. So this was, if I'm not mistaken, my second nomination, and I just had to bring my A game and show that academic excellence is also about having a balance. And that's what the main focus with their awards is, showing that yes, we're highlighted in a category, but we also have to demonstrate our character throughout.
Which brings me to this then. What has it been like for you in light of this national recognition in terms of shaping your mindset as a young woman and being able to apply yourself in that particular field or that area?
Okay, so the award means a lot to me. It's now my motivation to continue. So when I was awarded, I was completing my bachelor's, and I'm currently pursuing my master's at age 21. I was accepted at the University of Manchester in the United Kingdom, and so just seeing that we are recognized, I can now be an image of perseverance and resilience.
Yeah, go ahead.
This is just what keeps me going now.
But let's talk about your academic career then, because you said you were pursuing your bachelor's and so forth. What were you studying, and what led you to get nominated and eventually win this award?
Okay, so my journey started at Belize High School, and the motto was striving for excellence. And this is just one motto kept me going. And I decided to pursue my bachelor's at age 16. And I was studying political science, just because I see a great need for policy reform in my country. And so that's why I decided to do my master's, and I'm trying to pursue global development, but with a focus on Belize. So I can target all the policies that need great reform.
So you see
Why global development?
Global
what took you in that direction?
Okay, so I feel like if I can notice and, how to say it, pick up what other nations are doing, not only small nations, but developed nations, maybe we can use and implement their styles and different policies to change Belize for the better. Because we have a lot of antiquated laws and policies, and one small change can make a big difference.
Do you see yourself running for office?
No, I want to be behind the scenes.
Respect to that.
Yeah.
Very much behind the scenes.
But that's the kind of mindset you want,
Yes.
right? In the office. So I could definitely see what brought you to win this award, Jasmine, and I can see what it means to you. But we have been joined by the acting coordinator for behavior modification at the Department of Youth Service, Mr. Lincoln Flowers. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
We're here having a conversation with Jasmine about her award in terms of academic excellence in 2023. Perhaps you can talk to us more about the National Youth Award in general and the different categories that you all are offering in terms of prizes and awards this year in 2024. Yeah.
All right. Morning, everyone.
Good
Mr.
morning.
Flowers here. Well, again, it's time to highlight young people. As I always say, usually we hear negative feedbacks about young people, but we are always here to show that that's not the way. We have about 13 categories that we award young persons in for their good work, hard work, dedication, upliftment, helpfulness, resilience, you know, to try to motivate them, positive reinforcement for good behaviors, you know, try to keep up with rewarding them so they see the good in doing good, you know, rather than getting involved negatively. Keep them occupied positively. And we have a lot of young people with a lot of talent in Belize. Usually, you know, people see young persons as a problem, but they are really an asset. So we got to get them involving across the board. You know, youth mainstreaming, get young persons in
I guess one way of doing so is by acknowledging the positive contributions of young men and women in this country, because oftentimes it goes by unsung and unheralded, right? Young people do a lot of great things and we don't really shine any light on that. But to have someone like Jasmine and others before her, and even perhaps the 2024 recipient, is to shed light on the good things that are happening with young people.
Yes, so what we want to do, we want to encourage our stakeholders, the teachers, parents, persons who interact with young people and see they're good, nominate them, give them that chance to receive the privilege and the excellence and the recognition that they much deserve. You know, so get up there. We have youth in sports, we have media influencer, academic excellence, youth with disability, you know, the PSD trendsetter, you know, youth who came from extreme difficult circumstances and are doing good with their lives, and good not only for them, but good for the young people around them as well, and good for society.
What's the nomination process like,
Well,
and how do you select your winners?
All right, we have an online link on the Department of Youth Services Facebook, Instagram page, where you click the link and it gives you steps. You have some, of course, you have to give some information on the person, some document showing the work that they have been doing, you know. And this year we're trying out something new. We have persons with experience in each category, judging only that category. We're getting complaints about the you know, in Belize, anytime you have to pick a winner, you always have a lot of confusion.
Sore losers. Yeah.
So we're trying to make it as fair and as best as we can. So we have individual judge for each category, and all the judges for that category have experience in that field. You know, so if we're looking for a media person, we'll get somebody from the media to assist with that. If we are doing the sports award, we'll get persons who have sports background to pick that award, you know, to try to make it fair and make sure everyone get the right recognition that they deserve.
So right now you opened it for nominations. When do they start to select the winners, and when do you announce the awards?
In next week the nomination process will be closed.
Okay.
Right. So from Monday until the youth award will be in PG.
Okay.
Punta Gorda.
You're taking it all the way down south.
Yes.
Okay.
Right. So we'll transport the young persons, the red carpet style. You know, once the nominees get there, it's their time. We go all out and letting them feel how it feels to be a positive member of society. Right. So that's it, and Miss can tell you, you know, that's your moment to shine, especially when you win. You have a year of bragging rights. You know what we would like to see the award grow to is the incorporation of more of the businesses and society to join in on rewarding young persons. You know, as a department, we can only do so much, but with the help of the society and the business community, I think there is much more that we can do for our young people. And thanks to those who do contribute and help to make the youth award possible. We usually have a little cash prize. We have some tokens, some giveaways, some promotions that we get from our partners, you know, and we try to give the young persons what it will never be what they deserve, but we try to give them the best that we can.
The recognition in itself is incredible. You said it's going to be in PG when?
The 30th November.
The 30th of November. So all the nominations close next week Friday.
This
Friday.
Yeah. So next week Monday they'll start the selection process.
Okay. Do the recipients know beforehand?
They get notified. They get notified if they are shortlisted.
Okay.
So I guess first, second, and third place will be invited to the awards for each category.
Wonderful.
Where in Punta Gorda will this
at the sporting complex, TCC Sporting Complex.
Yep.
Nice.
Very, very nice indeed. So you already have the nomination process open. How many award nominees do you guys normally receive?
Last year we had 130 something, I believe, young persons, but we'll want to see that number grow to 200 this year. You know, and we're always shooting them. There's a lot of young persons out there doing good. The thing is, they can't nominate themselves.
Yeah.
Okay.
We from the youth department can't nominate them, so we need the help of society to highlight the young persons out there who are doing good. You know, they deserve it. They need it.
Okay, you were gonna say, Jasmine?
It's crucial to have a mentor, somebody who's there willing to recognize you. And for anybody who applying, sometimes it's just you can shout the idea out there or be like, I was looking at this award or something, and that can maybe it can be a past teacher, somebody who knows you. And everything is worth highlighting because I wasn't only academic excellence, I also participate in football, and so that was my area, and community service. So all I learned about the national award is you need to highlight your entire journey and don't leave out anything. Or ask your mentor to highlight all the different areas. So if you play sports, you do community service, highlight everything that builds you and builds your journey.
So persons between the ages of
14 to 29.
to 29 are eligible for this
That's
award.
the age of a youth in Belize,
Well,
14 to 29.
Some will say 34, but that's okay.
In the Caribbean, it goes to 35.
So the National Youth Awards, the nominations close this Friday, and the awards will be presented November 30th at the Sport Complex in Punta Gorda. Thank you all so much for joining us this morning. Final words to our viewers.
Well, from me, never give up. Like I said, this was not my first nomination. It was actually my second. I was a little bit discontented, but I realized there's so many well-deserving youths who need to be highlighted as well. So don't give up. If somebody wants to nominate you, take it up. You never know when it'll be your lucky year to be awarded.
Wonderful.
Yes, and to add to what Miss said, it's not always about winning, but it's a privilege to be nominated for such a prestige event, right? So give your young persons that feeling, don't sell their hard work short. Nominate somebody, get up and nominate somebody today. Please, Belize, nominate somebody today. Nominate our young persons. Let's give our young people that push that they need for future success.
Wonderful. Head on over to the Instagram page for the Department of Youth Services in Belize and cast your nomination. You never know if your person wins that award. All right, we gotta take another quick break, and when we come back, it's straight to wrap things up. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
Hi everyone, my name is Raja Ravan Senegal and I am 11 years old. Distractions such as drinking, answering a phone or text messages, talking to passengers, or paying attention to someone else. When a driver gets distracted and fails to notice a pedestrian crossing the street, this can cause an accident. Speed limits in Belize are reasonable, so drivers should follow them. Be patient and pay attention to avoid accidents.
We are elated and we want to commend BL for this initiative. Our students always want to do more, and we want to thank Croatia for what she's done for the school. We also want to thank BEL because the funds that Croatia won allowed us to have new classroom windows for a lower division building. And as for BEL, again, we commend you, we thank you, we are grateful.
MacNav Visual Strategies, where creativity meets business. Step inside our world of innovative visual solutions. From captivating graphic design to expansive wide format productions, our services are tailored to bring your vision to life. Experience the impact of our high-quality signage and billboards, embroidery, promotional items, and professional paper printing, all designed to elevate your brand's presence. Every project reflects our commitment to creativity, quality, and client satisfaction. At MacNav Visual Strategies, we transform ideas into visual realities. Get in touch today.
Lain ka ba Elmer Show? Ay yun si kahelan sa Ecopal Tree Lodge. Kero ni kahelan ay lain sa Ecopal, kakwi bartending, kakwi an kero ni mano lain. Lain ni usara Belize Bank mobile app. Hanap na usara uta ana ATM, uting card. Araw kay balbas changkiro na sa usara ut kolore na notification chira phone na mensajes. Araw ta na kolore, ta kala harup chitumin sa usara. Ut araw ta naw nak sa chabilo kong gatumin.
This is what you've been waiting for. In this corner, we have the masters of limitless power and unbeatable connection. pioneers of 4G LTE in Belize. It's the undefeated champion, Smart. And in the other corner, struggling to keep up, it's the other guy. Fight! Tired of getting blow after blow from a plan with the other guys? It's time to tap out and join the winning postpaid plan provider. Smart's postpaid plans are a total knockout to the competition, and they have once again powered up their postpaid plans. Sign up for one of Smart's boosted postpaid power plans today and experience the victory of superior service. Smart, bringing people together.
A dynamic and charismatic personality with a passion for storytelling? Do you have a unique voice that captivates audiences and a talent for bringing stories to life? We are looking for fresh faces who are energetic, engaging, and natural in front of the camera or microphone. If you are passionate about acting or voice work, we want to see what you've got. To register, email producer@channel5belize.com or call 670-6068.
The opening ceremony of the 17th edition of the Belize International Film Festival, live from UB's Jaguar Auditorium in Belmopan on Wednesday, November 6th at 7:30 p.m. Only on Channel 5, Facebook, and YouTube.
Welcome back to Open Your Eyes. Thank you so much for sticking with us as we end our morning show today. We want to say a huge thank you to all of our guests for stopping in and having the conversation with us. And of course, thank you to our viewers, because without you, this would not be possible. It is November 4th. If it is your birthday today, we want to say a happy birthday to you from all of us here at Open Your Eyes and Channel 5. And if you have a birthday shout out or just a question or a comment, drop us a line right here at oie@channel5belize.com. You can also catch our live stream every day on Facebook at Open Your Eyes BZ, and check out our highlights on Instagram at OYE Belize. And of course, do us a favor and join us again tomorrow when you open your eyes
to start your morning right.
Be sure to keep your eyes, your minds,
and your hearts open.
We'll see you soon, Belize. Have a wonderful day today. Goodbye.
Open Your Eyes was brought to you by Smart, bringing people together, and the Belize Bank, our country, your bank.